I rolled my eyes at his anniversary gift. Now he's finally done with me. I'm standing in our kitchen on a Friday evening, the golden light of sunset streaming through the window as I uncork a bottle of Cabernet. My husband Eric is at the dining table behind me, smiling nervously. It's our fifth wedding anniversary, and he's just slid a small wrapped package across the table towards me. Happy anniversary, Olivia, he says, his voice a mixture of excitement and apprehension. I think, please don't let it be another practical gift. Just once, I wish he'd surprise me with something romantic instead of useful. The wine makes a satisfying glug as I pour it into 2 glasses, taking my time before turning around. At 32, I've learned to manage my expectations when it comes to Eric's gifts. My college roommate Melissa's husband whisked her away to Paris for their anniversary last month. Meanwhile, Eric, 35, has a history of giving me things like high-end kitchen appliances or ergonomic office chairs. I take a long sip of wine before sitting down across from him. The package is small, wrapped in silver paper with a delicate blue ribbon. For a moment, hope flutters in my chest. Maybe this time it's different. Maybe he finally understood my hints about jewelry. Open it, Eric urges, his eyes bright with anticipation. I carefully unwrap the package, revealing a small velvet box. My heart beats faster as I open it, then immediately sinks. Inside isn't the diamond earrings I'd been hinting at for months. Instead, it's a silver compass pendant on a thin chain. I stare at it, confusion and disappointment washing over me. It's a compass? I say, unable to keep the flatness out of my voice. Eric leans forward eagerly. Not just any compass. Look at the inscription on the back. I turn it over half-heartedly. Engraved on the back are the words, "You are my true north." I thought it could symbolize how you've always guided me, kept me on track, he explains, his voice becoming less certain with each word. No matter where life takes us, you're my constant. My... Before he can finish, I let out a heavy sigh and roll my eyes. I don't even try to hide it. A compass, Eric? Really? The words come out sharper than I intended. What am I supposed to do with this? When would I ever wear this? The smile vanishes from his face, replaced by a look I've never seen before, a strange mixture of hurt and something else. Recognition, perhaps, as if he's suddenly seeing something clearly for the first time. I thought it was meaningful, he says quietly, his voice steady despite the visible tension in his jaw. I take another large gulp of wine, feeling defensive. Well, it's just Melissa got a trip to Paris and a diamond bracelet for her anniversary, and I get outdoor gear? I laugh, trying to lighten the moment, but it comes out all wrong, dismissive and cutting. Eric doesn't laugh. He doesn't say anything at all. He just looks at me for a long moment, then stands up from the table. Where are you going? I ask, suddenly aware that I've made a mistake. I need some air, he says, not looking back as he walks out of the kitchen. I hear the front door open and close with a soft click, not a slam, which somehow makes it worse. I'm left sitting alone at our anniversary dinner table, the compass pendant glinting accusingly in its velvet box. I think, it's fine. He'll get over it. He always does. Monday morning, I'm sitting at my desk at the marketing firm where I work as a creative director. I'm staring at my computer screen, but not really seeing it, my mind replaying the weekend's uncomfortable silence. Eric spent most of Saturday in his home office, emerging only for meals which we ate with minimal conversation. Sunday was marginally better. We went through the motions of our usual routine, but something had changed. The easy comfort between us had vanished, replaced by a stiffness I didn't know how to navigate. My phone buzzes with a text from my friend Caitlin. How was the anniversary? What did he get you this year? I pick up my phone, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I think, should I tell her what happened? No, she'll just take his side like she always does. Nothing special, I type back. Just some pendant. Dinner was fine. Another text immediately follows. That's it? After you told him about Melissa's Paris trip like 500 times? Men are so clueless. Her response makes me feel validated. I'm about to reply when my office phone rings. Olivia Parker speaking, I answer professionally. Hey, it's me. Eric's voice sounds different, more distant than I've ever heard it. Oh, hi, I say, surprised. He rarely calls me at work. Everything okay? I just wanted to let you know I'll be late tonight. Don't wait up for dinner. Late? Why? What's going on? I can hear the edge in my voice, that controlling tone my mother always used with my father. There's a pause before he answers. I'm having drinks with Mark after work. Mark is his college friend I've never particularly liked, too loud, too opinionated. Eric knows this. On a Monday, that's unusual, I say, trying to sound casual but feeling anything but. Is that a problem? His tone is quiet but firm. I'm thrown off balance by this new assertiveness. No, no problem. Have fun, I say quickly. Goodbye, Olivia. The way he says my full name instead of Liv sends a chill through me. The line goes dead before I can respond. I sit back in my chair, a strange uneasiness settling in my stomach. I think he's never this cold. He must still be upset about the stupid pendant. By 8 p.m., I'm pacing our living room, checking my phone every few minutes. No texts, no calls. This isn't like Eric at all. He's always considerate, always communicative. By 10 p.m., irritation has replaced worry. When I finally hear his key in the lock at 11:30, I'm standing in the hallway with my arms crossed. Where have you been? I demand as soon as he walks in. Eric looks at me with those steady brown eyes. I told you I was going out with Mark. Until almost midnight, on a work night, my voice rises despite my efforts to control it. He shrugs off his jacket and hangs it up neatly. We had a lot to talk about. Like what? I press, following him as he walks toward the bedroom. Like my life, Olivia. My choices. He stops and turns to face me. Mark helped me see some things more clearly. There's something in his voice that makes my heart skip a beat, not in a good way. What's that supposed to mean? I ask, suddenly feeling vulnerable. It means I'm tired, he says simply. I'm going to sleep in the guest room tonight. As he walks away, I stand frozen in the hallway. In 5 years of marriage, we've never slept apart except when one of us was traveling. I think this isn't happening. This isn't us. Tomorrow, things will be back to normal. But as I lie alone in our bed that night, staring at the ceiling, a voice in the back of my mind whispers that nothing is going to be normal again. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in our favorite coffee shop downtown, nervously tapping my fingers against my ceramic mug. Across from me, my best friend Jenna watches with concern in her eyes. So he's still sleeping in the guest room? She asks, her voice lowered despite the bustling Saturday morning crowd around us. I nod, the lack of sleep evident in the dark circles under my eyes. 15 days now, not that I'm counting. I attempt a laugh that comes out more like a choke. And all this over a pendant? Jenna's brow furrows in confusion. It wasn't just the pendant, I admit, the words feeling like tiny betrayals as they leave my mouth. It was the way I reacted to it. For the first time, I'm facing the reality of what happened that night. I've spent 2 weeks waiting for Eric to get over it, to come back to bed, to be the predictable, forgiving husband he's always been. Instead, he's transformed into someone I barely recognize. Calm, distant, self-contained. Have you tried apologizing? Jenna asks, stirring her latte. I feel a flash of defensiveness. Why should I have to apologize for being honest? If he can't handle my reaction. Liv, Jenna interrupts, her voice gentle but firm. Were you honest or were you cruel? Her question hits me like a slap. I open my mouth to defend myself, then close it again. You know, she continues carefully, I've known you both since before you got married. Eric has always been your biggest supporter. He talks about your creativity, your ambition. He's so proud of you. I think, is that true? When was the last time I felt proud of him? Remember when you lost that big client last year and thought you might get fired? Jenna continues. Eric stayed up all night, helping you prepare that new pitch. He believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. The memory surfaces unwillingly. Eric bringing me coffee at 3 a.m., his encouraging smile as he helped me rehearse my presentation, his unwavering confidence that I would turn things around. And remember your dad's funeral? Jenna presses on. Eric handled everything so you could just focus on grieving. I swallow hard, feeling a lump form in my throat. The compass was actually really thoughtful, Liv, she says softly. More meaningful than diamonds if you think about it. I stare into my coffee, avoiding her eyes. You sound like you're on his side. I'm on the side of your marriage, she replies, which is why I need to tell you something else. I saw Eric yesterday. My head snaps up. Where? At Riverside Park. He was having lunch with someone. My stomach drops. Who? Jenna hesitates. A woman. Brunette, tall. They seemed comfortable together. The coffee shop suddenly feels too warm, too crowded. Who is she? My voice sounds strange to my own ears. I don't know, Liv, but they weren't hiding or anything. They were just sitting on a bench, talking. I think, this can't be happening. Eric wouldn't, he's never even looked at another woman. But as the thought forms, another voice in my head whispers, how would you know? When was the last time you really paid attention to him? I need to go, I say abruptly, standing up and grabbing my purse. Jenna reaches across the table to squeeze my hand. Talk to him, Liv. Really talk to him, before it's too late. The walk home feels endless. When I finally reach our apartment, I find Eric in the kitchen, making himself a sandwich. He looks up when I enter, his expression neutral. We need to talk, I say, my voice shaking slightly. He puts down the knife he's using to spread mayonnaise. About what? About us. About this distance between us. I take a deep breath. About whoever you had lunch with yesterday at Riverside Park. Something flickers across his face. Not guilt, exactly, but caution. Her name is Rachel, he says after a moment. She's a divorce attorney. The room seems to tilt around me. I grab the edge of the counter to steady myself. A divorce attorney? You're planning to divorce me? Over a stupid comment about a necklace? Eric looks at me for a long moment, his eyes sad but resolute. It wasn't about the pendant, Olivia. It never was. Then what? I demand, feeling panic rise in my chest. What is it about? It's about 5 years of feeling like nothing I do is ever good enough for you, he says quietly. It's about watching you compare our life to everyone else's and always finding us lacking. It's about realizing that I've been pouring everything into someone who doesn't see my value. His words hit me like physical blows. That's not fair, I protest weakly. Isn't it? He asks. The compass was the last in a long line of gifts you've dismissed. Last Christmas, it was the spa weekend that wasn't at the right resort. Before that, the handmade bookshelf I spent weeks building that you said didn't match our decor. He takes a deep breath. But it was never really about the gifts, it was about me not being enough. I think, no, that's not true. I love him. I've always loved him. But even as I think it, I wonder when I last showed him that love. Eric, please, I whisper, tears welling in my eyes. We can fix this. He looks at me with such profound sadness that my heart contracts painfully. I wanted to believe that too, he says. But I don't think I can be with someone who doesn't respect me anymore. The word respect hangs in the air between us, heavy with accusation. I do respect you, I insist. Would you want to be with someone who treated you the way you've been treating me? He asks simply. And for the first time, I see myself through his eyes. The eye rolling, the dismissive comments, the constant comparisons to other people's husbands and their achievements. The realization is devastating. I'm staying at Mark's for now, Eric says, picking up a duffel bag I hadn't noticed by the door. Rachel will be contacting you next week. As he walks past me toward the door, I reach out and grab his arm. Eric, wait, please, don't do this. He stops, and for a moment I think he might change his mind. Instead, he gently removes my hand from his arm. I've been waiting for years, Olivia, he says softly. I can't wait anymore. The door closes behind him with a quiet click, and I'm left alone in the kitchen, the echo of his words ringing in my ears. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my favorite chair in my apartment, staring at the divorce papers spread across the coffee table. The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the hardwood floor, highlighting the empty spaces where Eric's things used to be. My phone rings, displaying Melissa's name on the screen. I hesitate before answering. Hey, I say, trying to sound normal. Liv, how are you holding up? Her voice is too bright, too cheerful. I'm fine, I lie, running my finger along the edge of the document where Eric's signature is already neatly penned. Listen, I'm calling with some news, Melissa continues. I ran into Eric yesterday. My heart stutters. Oh, how is he? There's a slight pause. He looks good, Liv. Really good, actually. He's lost weight, got a new haircut. He mentioned he's been promoted at work. I think, of course, he got promoted now that I'm not around to distract him with my problems. That's great for him, I managed to say. Yeah, Melissa says awkwardly. He was actually with someone. The room suddenly feels airless. The divorce attorney? No, someone else, blonde, petite. They seemed happy together. I close my eyes, feeling a fresh wave of pain wash over me. Did he say who she is? Her name is Kate. I think she works in his building. He didn't say much else, just introduced her briefly. I think of the compass pendant, still sitting in its velvet box in my dresser drawer. You are my true north. The irony is devastating. Olivia, are you still there? Melissa's voice breaks through my thoughts. Yeah, I'm here, I reply mechanically. Look, I know this is hard, but maybe it's time to start thinking about moving forward yourself. It's been 3 months. 3 months that feel simultaneously like 3 years and 3 days. 3 months of replaying every moment of our marriage in my head, seeing all the warning signs I'd missed. I don't think I'm ready for that, I say honestly. After we hang up, I walk to the bedroom and open my dresser drawer, taking out the compass pendant. I clasp it around my neck, the silver cool against my skin. Standing in front of the mirror, I hardly recognize myself. I've lost weight too, but not in the healthy way Eric has. My face looks hollow, my eyes lacking their usual spark. I think, how did I not see what I was doing? How did I let my own insecurities and envy poison something so good? The doorbell rings, startling me from my thoughts. When I open it, I find Jenna standing there with a bottle of wine and a sympathetic smile. Thought you might need company tonight, she says. I step aside to let her in, grateful not to be alone with my thoughts. I just heard from Melissa that Eric is seeing someone, I say as I follow her to the kitchen. Jenna pauses in the act of opening the wine. I know. I've seen them together a couple of times. You have? Why didn't you tell me? She sighs, pouring the wine into 2 glasses. Because it wouldn't have helped you, Liv, and because I was hoping you'd be in a better place before you found out. I sink onto a kitchen stool, cradling the wine glass she hands me. What's she like? Liv, don't do this to yourself. Please, I need to know. Jenna sits beside me, her expression gentle but firm. She's nice. She laughs at his jokes. She looks at him like he's something special. She pauses, the way you used to look at him when you first got together. The truth of her words stings. I do remember how it felt in the beginning, the pride I took in being with Eric, the way my heart would skip when he walked into a room. When did I stop seeing him? I whisper, more to myself than to Jenna. I don't know, Liv. Maybe when you started focusing more on what other people had than what you had. I finger the compass pendant around my neck. Did I tell you what this actually means? The inscription? Jenna shakes her head. You are my true north. He said I kept him on track, gave him direction. My voice breaks, all while I was completely lost myself. Jenna puts her arm around me as I finally allow myself to cry. For Eric, for us, for the marriage I destroyed with 1,000 tiny cuts of disrespect and ingratitude. The worst part, I say between sobs, is that I didn't realize how much I loved him until he stopped loving me. 6 months after signing the divorce papers, I'm standing in front of a small cafe in a part of town I rarely visit. Through the window, I can see Eric sitting at a corner table, checking his watch. I take a deep breath and push open the door. When he spots me, he stands up, offering a small, polite smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Thanks for meeting me, I say, sliding into the chair across from him. No problem, he replies. You said it was important? I notice everything about him has changed. His shoulders seem broader under his well-fitted shirt. The nervous energy that used to follow him has been replaced by a quiet confidence. I think he really does look happy, happier than he ever looked with me. I wanted to give you something, I say, reaching into my purse and pulling out a small envelope. He takes it with a questioning look. It's the money I owed your parents, I explain, for the loan they gave us when we bought the apartment. You didn't have to do that, he says, looking surprised. The settlement didn't require it. I know, I wanted to. It was the right thing to do. An uncomfortable silence falls between us. I resist the urge to fill it with nervous chatter, one of my many habits that used to drive him crazy. How's the new job? He finally asks. After the divorce, I couldn't bear to stay at my old firm where everyone knew about my failed marriage. I'd taken a position at a smaller agency with a significant pay cut. It's good, I say. Less prestigious, but healthier. My boss actually commented yesterday that I'm a good team player. The irony of this isn't lost on either of us. My competitive nature and need to stand out had always made me a difficult colleague. And you? I ask. Melissa mentioned you got promoted. He nods. Senior project manager now. More responsibility, but I'm enjoying the challenge. I notice he doesn't mention Kate, and I don't ask. Some wounds are still too fresh. I'm wearing it, I say softly, pulling the compass pendant from beneath my blouse. His expression remains neutral, but something flickers in his eyes. It reminds me, I continue, of what I lost, of who I was when I lost it. Olivia, he begins, but I cut him off. No, please. Let me say this. I take a deep breath. I've had a lot of time to think about what happened to us, about my part in it. I was so busy looking at what everyone else had that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. He doesn't respond, but he doesn't look away either. I'm not telling you this to try to get you back, I clarify. I know that ship has sailed. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. And I'm sorry, truly sorry. Eric studies me for a long moment. Thank you for saying that, he says finally. It means something, even now. A notification sound comes from his phone. He glances at it, and I see a soft smile cross his face, the kind of smile he used to reserve for me. You need to go? I ask, already knowing the answer. He nods apologetically. Kate's waiting. We have dinner plans. The mention of her name still hurts, but less than it did before. She's lucky to have you, I say, and I mean it. As we stand to leave, he hesitates, then says, For what it's worth, Olivia, I hope you find someone who makes you happy too. Someone you don't need to compare to anyone else. Outside the cafe, we part ways with an awkward half hug. I watch him walk down the street, his pace quicker and lighter than I remember. I touch the compass pendant at my throat, thinking how ironic it is that I finally understand its value now that I've lost my own true north. Epilogue. 1 year later, I'm sitting on a bench in Riverside Park, watching couples stroll along the pathway as the autumn leaves flutter around them. A year has passed since the divorce was finalized. A year of therapy, self-reflection, and painful growth. My phone buzzes with a text from Jenna. Just heard Eric and Kate got engaged last night. Thought you should know before you saw it on social media. I take a deep breath, waiting for the pain to hit. It does, but it's duller now, more like an old bruise than a fresh wound. Thanks for telling me, I text back. I'm okay. And surprisingly, I am. Not completely healed, but getting there. I think about how differently I approach relationships now. The careful attention I pay to my words, the gratitude I try to express daily for the people in my life. As I stand to leave the park, my hand automatically reaches for the compass pendant that still hangs around my neck. It's no longer a reminder of what I lost, but of what I learned. Some lessons come too late to save what's most precious, but perhaps they come just in time to save ourselves. I walk home alone as the sun sets behind the city skyline, following my own true north, one step at a time.